So apparently AI is now making music, and I'm not talking about random background music or background vocals. No, actually it's creating full songs. And we're already seeing songs that could pass as real artists, like let's take Taylor Swift or Drake or The Weeknd, for instance. There are songs that currently exist that have been made by AI, and who would know?
Slow, but deep down I knew we always say that though. Uncle Joe gone, Auntie M sick, nobody passing down.
As a result, loads of people are asking, what's going to happen to artists now that AI exists? Does that mean that they're going to become extinct or not as useful and not as prevalent? Because AI can essentially do what human beings have been doing with music thus far. It's a little scary. AI is growing really fast, as you've probably seen, and we're getting to a point where you don't have to be particularly skilled in music to do well in the industry. You don't have to know music or know how to sing. You essentially just have to know how to give the right prompt. So you could say something like, play this song or play this melody or use this harmony or use these lyrics, and AI will magically pull it all together and create a song for you. And just like that, you've got a song. Songs are going viral. Some of them are ending up on streaming platforms, on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify. It's all there, and it's been created by a technology system. And this is where things start to get a little sticky, because it's not just about creating new songs. There have been instances in the past where songs have been replicated by AI, and they're so similar that listeners thought that these artists had created new songs. So this is where people have started to pay attention, because if AI can recreate voices and styles, what's to stop them from using their favourite artists and creating new songs? I mean, if you think about it, it could spiral out of control if it remains unregulated. So then it begs the question of what the true value of music is, because if it's void of human emotion and human skill and identity, there isn't that opportunity to connect, which I believe is what music is about. And if those lines start to become blurred, I can understand why people might be feeling a little bit worried, because the music industry is a big part of our world. People are listening to music on the train, on the bus, on the go, en route. It's a huge part of our lives.
Hello from the other side.
I do think the music industry is solid and stable. It's growing because whilst AI is doing its thing and it's growing in its own ways, the music industry is also growing too, and people are listening to more music than ever before. If you think about it, we've all got AirPods and earphones in our ears. We're all constantly listening to music. It's a big part of advertising and marketing. It's a big part of our social lives. We all go to musicals and theatres. So music is something that's not going to go away. Artists will have to start moulding, manoeuvring and evolving around the changing landscape, as every other industry is currently doing. The issue we're having at the moment is that there's so much music being produced. It's not just about quality and who's producing it and where it's being produced and how. It's that we're experiencing mass production of music. So before, there were limitations, time, skill, resources. There was only so much music that could be produced. At the moment, things have changed and music is being produced at such high rates. So now that those barriers are dropping and those limitations that we once had with music don't exist anymore, the issue isn't about talent. There's loads of talent to go around. Now the issue is about attention. Someone can create hundreds, if not thousands of songs and tunes and music and harmonies in a short space of time. But if they don't get the attention that they need, then essentially doesn't do as well, because ultimately there's only so much music. one person can listen to. And therefore there becomes this competition. People are struggling to get their music heard. And so I can imagine this is a really difficult time for anyone in the music industry, because they're not just competing against smaller musicians, they're also competing against established ones. And now you've got AI in the mix. It is going to be really difficult to get any headway because there is so much content out there. And this leads us to another issue that musicians and artists are probably also facing at the moment: money. Because if AI is creating music and content constantly, this will take away from musicians and the plays that they get on streaming platforms like Spotify and iTunes. And that's where this whole thing starts to get a little unfair, because if someone's putting in all the effort into creating music, writing lyrics, creating different sounds, and then there is this technology that's creating the same thing in less time and is able to reach people more, it is really unfair on the people that are putting in all of this effort into making this music. And that isn't even the most complicated part. We also have the issue of copyright issues, because of course AI is created by copying existing songs, existing material from artists. If that music is being copied, we have a fundamental issue. So if AI creates a song and let's say it uses a song by Taylor Swift as its template, produces a whole new song, but it sounds like a Taylor Swift song, who does that song belong to? Does it belong to the person that wrote the prompt saying, this is what I would like AI to do? Does it belong to the person that created the AI system? Or does it belong to the person that created the original song? This is where we're starting to see a lot of pushback, because there are so many issues aligned with the use of AI and music. Recording labels are starting to get involved, artists are speaking up, and there are several lawsuits currently underway, because this isn't just about who owns what now. This is about creativity and if it's being stunted by a system that ultimately is unregulated. If within these songs, the emotions, the kind of ironies and nuances that usually exist in songs don't exist anymore, what are we really listening to? That's the question I think we should all be asking. If everything we're listening to is being copied, where's the genuineness in it? Where's the authenticity? Where's that real raw emotion that we all love and connect with? And we can really get philosophical about the whole thing, because ultimately if we don't know where music is from and can't feel what we usually feel from music, will we start to value music as much as we currently do? I'm not sure. I don't know if music would have the same meaning. And it's also interesting because in the same industry, there is one side or one group of people that are resistant and hesitant to adapt to AI that has currently taken over the world. And then there is another side of the industry that is willing to adjust and maneuver and work around and with AI. And so there is this kind of grappling and difficulty around if we should work with AI or we should create some limitations and constrictions to stop it from completely taking over. Some artists and labels have very happily adapted and are using AI in their production, and of course that's had an impact on their output. So this isn't an issue of whether AI is working against or with the industry. More importantly, the conversation we should be having is about how the music industry is changing and what it might look like in the next few years. And if you think about it, every industry is changing. AI isn't going anywhere, as you can see. And so therefore, we will all to some degree have to work around and see if we can work with AI. So in summary, the music industry isn't dying, but it is changing, and it's changing quite significantly. For the first time, the difficulty isn't creating music. Thankfully, for some, that's the easy part. That barrier has been lowered. The difficult part now, I think, is distinguishing oneself in a very busy, saturated industry. It's important to be different and to create music that stands out and sets one's self apart. One thing AI can't replace is our authenticity, our realness, the fact that we have emotions, the fact that we feel things and have a history, and all of those things that we've experienced play a part in the type of music we produce. So I think we need to start thinking about that and not worrying so much about the fact that we might all become non-existent because of AI, because ultimately AI is unable to take our place. And if you enjoyed this summary, subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.